Hi everybody, another Tuesday evening practice session. Let's start with the whole form. We're going to work on flying diagonal as the posture we focus on today. So let's do the whole form to get ourselves up and going. And go ahead. And step. Okay, so flying diagonal. Let's do it a couple times, and then I'll talk about pieces. So from the last repulse monkey, turn, and turn back, ball of air in the right corner, step. As you shift, right fingers come inside left elbow, turn the waist, flying diagonal. Again, last repulse monkey. Turn, turning back, ball of air in the right front corner, step, shift, right fingers inside left elbow, final posture. Okay, let me face so that you can see me as I do this. So I turn back. I have a ball of air when I get to this right front corner. I step. As I shift, the right fingers come inside the left elbow. And then when I turn, I'm moving away from the left hand. In the final posture, you end up with the right arm extended, and you're looking right out over the space between the index finger and the thumb. Ben would say, this one is different from all the others. Everything else, beautiful lady's hand, your thumb should be pointed in the same direction as the other fingers. This one, you actually use that space, and so you want to look right over it. And your other hand, the left hand, is down here at the side. Watch that the left hand, when you're going into the final posture, doesn't come with you. So when I get here, it's easy for the left hand needs to stay in space as I turn away from it. So it's like this is a stable point and I'm moving away from it, versus getting there and then the left hand comes with me. So the final posture isn't here, it's over there. So let's do that again. I will face not the direction that you are. Beth will face the same direction that you would be. I know it'll mean that we're going in opposite directions, but that way you'll be able to see me and you'll be able to do what she's doing. So, from the last repulse monkey, turn to the left, turn back to the right, you have a ball of air in the right corner, step, shift, right fingers come inside left elbow, turn the waist, leaving the left hand in place, end up looking right out over the right hand here. So you're looking right out over there. And again. Turn. Coming back. Step. As you shift, right fingers inside left elbow. Now keep that left hand in place and unwind away from it. And you end up looking out over the right hand. Great. So things that happen in the final posture are that it's difficult to actually make this step. It's hard to actually step so that you end up with shoulder wide. So if I'm here, let's see how I can do this so that I'll be facing where you can see. Pretend that this is square. And I've come around here. When I step, I need to end up so that I have shoulder wide between my feet here. And it's really easy to miss that. It's really easy when you step to end up, so see how my heels are going to be almost in a line here when I finish. So now I don't have shoulder wide. This foot needs to be over there in order for me to have shoulder wide. I know I'm doing it at weird 45-degree angles, but I want you to be able to see the distance between my heels. And what will happen if I don't get shoulder wide there when I step, I won't be able to square my waist. Because I don't have shoulder wide, I won't be able to get the waist square to the front. And what that ends up doing is, see, now I'm not looking at the hand. And so then people do various things. They turn their heads, or they decide that it doesn't really matter, or they do something else. Yeah, twist the upper body. So you need to be sure that you actually get shoulder wide there so you can get to the final posture. So, when I'm stepping here, I don't just step there. See how my heels are in a line. I have to step over there so that when I get in the final posture, I can really square myself and be looking out over this hand. So Make sure you're actually getting that. Let's do it again. I'll face the same direction, and I want you to really pay attention to the shoulder wide step. It's a big step, it's difficult. If you need to put your foot down partway through it when you're doing this, if you need to take a step here and then step, go ahead and do that. But make sure you're actually going to end up with shoulder wide to the corner. So from the last repulse monkey, turn back towards the front, end up with a ball of air in the right front corner. Step, go ahead and touch down with your foot, and then really be sure you're stepping for shoulder wide. Shift, left finger's inside of right elbow, and turn. And stop and check. Did you actually get shoulder wide here? And if you didn't, know that that's something you're going to need to work on. So, then I've managed to step shoulder wide. I get through here. In the final posture here, look what's happening with my front shoulder. So there's a real tendency to drop the shoulder, and then the shoulder is closed. And so this violates one of the rules for our final postures, which is that shoulder, hip, and hand should not all three either be closed or all three be open on the same side. So if I look at the, shoulders are easy to know if they're opening or closing because the arm is moving away from the body, the arm is moving towards the body. Hip is easy to know if it's open or closed because the pelvis is moved towards the hip, closed, or moved away from the hip, open. Hand is a little weird. And for now, just know that if the hand is facing you, it's closed. If the hand is turned out, it's open. And so you don't ever want all three on the same side closed or all three on the same side opened. And the thing that happens here in flying diagonal when people make this mistake is they end up here like this. And so the hip is closed, it's the front hip of a 70-30. My shoulder is closed because I've dropped my elbow in, and my hand is closed because it's facing my body. And so this is an error. And so one way that people fix this is they don't close the hip, right? So the problem with not stepping wide enough. That's not the way to fix it. The way to fix it is to have the shoulder open. And so now the arm is a rounded thing here coming back towards my gaze. So do this with me, and I want you to feel the shoulder closed versus the shoulder opened. I'm assuming that you're going to get a good shoulder wide step. So from the last repulse monkey, turn and turn back, a ball of air, step, make sure you got shoulder wide with that. As you shift, right finger's inside left elbow, left hand stays more or less stationary, turn away from it. And now check, did you really get square with your front foot? So your front hip is closed. Is your hand really in front of your gaze? The hand is closed because it's facing you. And then let the shoulder feel open. And now drop your elbow so that the shoulder is closed. So you've got the three closed, 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 and closed. And feel what that feels like. And now open your shoulder. So closed, open, closed. Never three closes, never three opens. So take a break. It's a weird little rule. It's more of an observation of the way our moves should be than something that you're trying to do, but it can be useful for sort of trying to diagnose a problem. And you should feel how wrong this is to have this. You know what this wants to turn into? Single whip, where the hand turns over. But that's not what we're doing here. It's flying diagonal. So let's do it again. I want you to pay attention to stepping with the right width, and when you end up at the final posture, that the shoulder is open, even as the hip and the hands are closed. So, final repulse monkey. Turn to the left, turn back around to the right, a ball of air in the corner. Step, shift, right finger's inside left elbow. Now the left hand's going to stay in place more or less, and you turn away from it. Check if you got width, check if you're square, and make sure that you've got closed, open, closed. Okay, so that's the posture. The thing I'm interested in for working on for the next couple minutes is how do we get this thing started? What happens from the last repulse monkey? And so when you do this, the checkpoint to pay attention to is when you've turned to the left and back around to the right. And when you get there, you've got a ball of air. You see, I'm towards the right front corner. I'm not square anymore. You might get the ball of air sooner and then carry it over to there. And you might not get the ball of air until you arrive. But make sure you have the ball of air when you arrive there. And as I do this, go ahead and let the front foot pivot on the ball. So when I get there, the foot has pivoted on the ball, so I get there. Don't pivot on the heel. It's not like this, where I pivot on the heel. Because then what happens is I've still got root in that foot. I'm going to have to break it in order to step. So do that with me. And we're just paying attention to the foot. We'll pivot on the ball, we'll pivot on the heel, we'll pivot on the ball. So, last repulse monkey. Turn, and come back to the right front corner and let your right foot pivot on the ball. So it's empty, nice and easy. Take a step, flying diagonal. Again, this time pivot on the heel. So turn to the left, turn back to the right, and as you do that, pivot on your right heel. And now take the step and notice the difference in stepping there. And come back to the last repulse monkey and pivot on the ball. Turn to the left, turn back to the right, pivoting on the ball, and notice what it's like to step there. So it's a little difference whether you pivoted on the ball or the heel, but it'll have a real impact on the next gesture that you make. And pivot on the ball because the heel is about root, the ball enables mobility, and you're about to be mobile, you're about to take a step. And if you keep it on the heel, you're going to have to do something here to break that foot from the ground. So go ahead and let it be on the ball so that it's easy to step. Now let's look at the leading up to there. So I'm here in the last repulse monkey. As I turn, my right hand scoops down and ends up palm up. So this motion of going from repulse monkey into the corner has a little bit of a 1-2 nature. The first feeling is of your right hand scooping down, and the second feeling is of your left hand coming over to the top. So the two hands are not just moving in lockstep with equal weight to them. It's right hand, left hand. So do this with me. We'll just do the first part with the right hand. So from the last repulse monkey, turn to the left, and as you do that, feel the right hand come down, and it ends up palm up here by my hip, and back to the last repulse monkey. Turn to the left, right hand is making a scoop, ends up palm up. Again. Turn, right hand makes a scoop, ends up palm up. And see, my left hand moved while I was doing that. It would be really forced to keep it from moving. But I'm not trying to go any place with the left hand. It doesn't have a destination in mind. It's just following what the right hand does. So again, turn, right hand comes down. Okay, now turn back to the front, and you're primarily leading with the left hand there. So again, right hand, left hand as you come around. And so this is one of those places, take a break for a second. This is one of those places where the motion trades off from one hand to another. Another classic place we do that is at the end of cloud hands, when you've come around here and you're about to step forward. And first the back hand is coming along, and then the hook hand picks it up and carries it. So there's a trading off from one hand to the other. Same kind of thing happens here. Right hand, oh, and now the left hand takes over as you come back to that. And make sure when you get to the corner, you've really got a ball of air. Two hands aren't misaligned somehow. You've really got that ball of air. So again, last repulse monkey. Turn, right hand slaps down, turn back, left hand comes over the top. Again. Turn, right hand slaps down. Turn back, left hand comes over the top. And of course, if you pivoted the foot, you pivoted on the ball. And once more. Turn, and come back. Okay, and I want to bring your attention to one more thing, and then we'll do it a couple times, and I'll turn it over to Beth, who will explore more of it. And the one more thing is, just as when I slap down with the right hand, the left hand goes into motion, when I turn back, the right hand is also moving. And what you want to feel is it's a drawing along the right forearm that takes it from this place of palm up here to still being palm up, but in the corner. So the motion isn't across the forearm this way. I'm not trying to send something out there. The motion is along the length of the forearm to bring it back. So this is a little bit of Tsai energy, a little bit of the plucking as I do this. I come here and now I pull along the hand to bring the hand back, not going out at 90 degrees to the forearm. But the main focus is in the left hand coming over there. But I want you to feel the right hand moving in the correct direction. So from the last repulse monkey, turn, right hand, turn back and draw along the length of the right hand even as the left hand is coming over the top. Again, turn, right hand slaps down, left hand is in motion. Left hand comes over the top, right hand draws along the length of the forearm. And once more. Turn, slapping with the right. Turn back, left comes over and draw along the right hand. So it's this pulling it along the hand, as if Beth, when I had done this, had grabbed my hand. And I don't go like this, trying to push against her. I go like this, pulling out of it. So she's got it and I pull out of it, not going that way. That way. Hard to show you on the video, but it should feel pretty different. And having just done that, do it to yourself. So stand on the left leg, come down with the right hand, and now grab your fingers with the left hand and turn and pull your hand out of those fingers. And do that again. Slap down, grab your right fingers with your left hand, turn to the right and pull the fingers out of the hand. And now try to force at 90 degrees to the forearm. Come down, grab your hand and go out. It doesn't take it out of the other hand. Turn and it pulls it right out. So that motion is along the forearm, not perpendicular to the forearm. So let's do the whole move, say 3 times, and then I'll turn it over to Beth. So from the last repulse monkey, actually let's take it from fist under elbow, and we'll do 3 repulse monkeys, so we end up on the left leg, and then we'll do flying diagonal. Okay, fist under elbow, repulse that monkey. Two. And one more. Okay. Turn to the left, slapping down with the right hand. Left hand comes alive. Turn back. Left hand is the main thing, but you're pulling the right fingers. Ball of air, step. Right fingers inside left elbow. Unwind. Make sure you got shoulder wide. Make sure your right shoulder is open. Again, from fist under elbow. And go ahead. One repulse monkey. A second repulse monkey. A third. And flying diagonal. Right hand, left hand, ball of air, step, shift, fingers by elbow, unwind. One more time and I won't talk. Fist under elbow. And go ahead. Flying diagonal. And take a break. Okay, well, now Beth will do some more with us.
Let's look at a few details about getting into the final posture. So the first thing I want to look at is how do we get from the ball of air here, where we're in the corner, to this moment when before you start to shift, now your fingers are here by your elbow and they're going to come up, over, not under. So let's do it with me. I'm going to keep facing this way so that my hands are visible, and you've got Lee giving you the other direction. So just from the last of the repulse monkeys, and right hand slaps down and scoops up, left hand comes into play, you get to the corner, you have a ball of air. Now, as you sink and step for the final posture, let your left arm naturally, organically, authentically just move out to counterbalance your stepping right leg. And just do that much again. So right hand drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over, ball of air. And now you're not going to hold this ball rigidly. You want to let it respond to the body just like a mobile would. So when your right leg starts moving to step, notice how that lets the left arm expand. One more time. Right hand drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over, get into the corner, you've got your ball, and let it be a gentle and light feeling, so that when you step, it just naturally puts your left hand out, and before you shift the weight, your right fingers have magically ended up just inside your left elbow. So rest your legs a sec, and I want to do it the other way, where you rigidly hold onto the ball and then try and figure out how to get your hand up here in the elbow, because one of our instructions is that the hand comes in by the elbow and it comes up over the left arm. It doesn't just come from the ball. It doesn't just do this. It has to get here, and then it opens out. So let's do it where you rigidly hold the ball so that you feel the difference. Okay, right hand drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over. Get your ball and now hold on to it. Keep it as a ball as you step with the right leg. It's even harder to step. And now, how do you get your right hand inside your left elbow? So you get the idea. Let's do it again. This time, let the arms be light and free moving like a mobile. And right arm drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over. You've got your ball, but it's not welded to your body. As you sink and step, the left hand comes out, the right fingers come right inside your elbow, and complete the move. Okay, so that's one little place to pay attention to. Then, how do you get that leg out there? So, probably talked about this before, but it's worth repeating and taking a look at anew, which is that when you step, particularly these big steps, you can do one of two things. One is watch my foot. One is that you make a big arc out to step. That's got this feeling of stepping away. It's like you're one of those compasses that makes circles, and this leg is a point and this foot is the pencil, and it's making a big arc out there. The other is that you let the right side release. You empty this leg completely, hang it from the socket, and as you turn, it's free. And so it moves toward your center line, and that turns the foot so that it comes close to the ankle. And then you aim for the corner that you're reaching for with the heel first. So, and if you look at me from behind, you can see it also. Here's the arc. Watch what happens here when I make the arc. See how it's kind of all engaged and I'm stepping from back here? Now you do it the other way. Here we are in the corner. I've already freed it. See how it comes in toward the center line, and then the action brings the foot toward the ankle and then steps it out. It's not that I'm coming into my ankle and then stepping out, but if that helps you keep your balance, go ahead and do that. It's what Lee was talking about a few minutes ago, that when you go to step, if what happens is you put an empty foot down on the ball as you start to turn, and then make sure that you're going to be shoulder width, that's essentially the same thing. We're just looking at it from a different perspective. So better to have your foot actually come in toward your ankle, rest lightly on the ball of the foot to get your act together so that you can step out toward the corner and get yourself shoulder width, than to not want to put your foot down and end up losing your balance, losing the shoulder width, or just, hauling your leg out on a prayer and hoping it lands someplace that you can handle. So let's do this together. And I'm going to keep facing this way so that you see the leg. So right hand drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over. You get to the corner. Your right foot is on the ball. You don't necessarily have to pivot it because right away it's going to start moving, but it does have to come up on the ball. You don't want it stuck to the heel and still holding your root. Now, sink. Let that foot move so that you can step out to the corner as you get into this place. Go ahead and get, 50.1 and 49.9 here so that you're still in this leg, but this leg is ready to receive you. You're right in the middle, and now, boom, cross the line on your yin-yang and turn around that central axis to complete the move. Let's do it again. Right hand drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over. Hands are light and connected to your body, but not welded. Sink, open, letting that foot come toward your ankle and then stepping out, come to just before you shift from the left side to the right side and change and turn around. So we've talked about this yin-yang line that's right there at the center where everything changes, the zhongding, the central equilibrium point. So I stopped you and said, well, be, a fraction still on this leg. So you're just inside the line. And then when it's time to change, you can just have your other foot on the other side of the line ready to take you. And so that the movement has more of a spiral quality than a big traveling distance. So this is kind of what Lee was talking about with the left hand, not going away with you. So here, I've already crossed that line, and I'm not ready to step yet. I didn't get to shift yet. I didn't get this hand in position. It just sort of comes with, or here, it travels this way. So there's a couple places where you could be not crossing the line. I could leave it here okay, and then when it's time to shift, bring it with me. And that's the same thing of taking a travel distance. I want it to be more that it spirals around the central equilibrium point. So as you do this, one of the things that will help is how you relate to your left hand here. It's like the top of a banister is called a newel, that ball that might be on a banister. It's like you got a little, or a post or something, and you're just sort of holding on here. It gives it a little bit of a weightedness, quality of balancing. When you get your weight into this leg, you can have this hand give you cross balance, and then things can turn around that central equilibrium point and not have a big transverse movement at the point of delivery. So let's do that. Let's, we can both stand in the same direction and take it from the last of the repulse monkeys and get to the final posture. So begin. Right hand slaps and scoops. Left hand comes up and over. Here you are in the corner. Your right foot is resting on the ball. And step. The foot comes in. The left hand balances it and goes out. Your right hand comes in by your elbow. And then cross that line. Hold on to the newel. Unwind. And voila. Let's do it again. Begin. Sink and step and shift. And once more. Begin. Right hand, left hand, ball of air. Easy does it. Fingers by elbow, hand on the newel. Final posture. Great, rest your legs. One more thing I forgot to mention about the stepping is that where you point your knee will help your foot go where you want it to go. So one of the problems with the big arc step is that the whole leg goes as a piece, and look at where my knee is. It's not actually pointing where I'm going. I want to be in that corner. I want to be there. So when you step with making the arc, you haven't actually released that leg. I know this is going to sound odd because you're stepping with it, but it isn't empty. It's still holding on all the way through here, and it moves like a block. And then the leading edge of it is going to be here. I want to take a step so that it plays out through the leg. The leg has joints. The movement goes through the joints out to the final placement, as Lee just nicely demonstrated there. So watch his knee. He's got shorts on and everything, so you can actually see it. See, his knee is now pointing where he's going, and so it makes it a much more organic step than that. So you can see his knee is not pointing to the corner, and oddly enough, neither is his foot. So making sure that you release this leg before you step will help it actually come with you in a meaningful way that helps you take the step. So now, how do I get my knee to point over there when my dantian's just over here? Well, your mind knows where it's going. I'm not just here, and then I'm here, and then I'm here. Let it be a sense that as I'm sinking and stepping, the leg can open. Even as my dantian is still over here, my leg can be opening in that direction because I know where my leg wants to go. So you don't want to get lost somewhere in between and not quite know where it is you're headed. So make sure that when you take the step, your mind knows you're going to the corner. It knows where the corner is. Remember, it's the corner of your personal telephone booth. It's not necessarily the corner of the room. And you can let the movement play out and aim it there to make it to make that step happen, making sure that the leg is empty. I'm not going to make you stop there and float your foot. That's not really helpful, but you do need to release it right from the very start. So let's do this whole piece again. I'll just take it from the last of the, sorry. And go. Now release that leg. Drop the empty sit bone. The knee is a little bit buoyant. As you turn and step, let it go out. Sit down. Fingers are up in the elbow. And cross that line. Hold on to the newel. And final posture. Great. Let's do it from Repulse Monkey. And we'll just do 3 of them, but we'll get a little bit of a head of steam. Begin. Right hand drops and scoops, left hand comes up and over, arms are light and balanced, sink, step, and complete the move. Of course, I fell over a little bit there. Let's do it again. I won't try and talk. Now, just to be clear, it's not really like I'm holding on to a post. It'll move a little bit. I don't have to hold it absolutely still in space so that when I get here, I have to keep it exactly right there. And then I end up with this weird feeling in my shoulder and my arm behind me. And it can seem like that. Often when we work with a class on this, I will see there's always a little bit of this because it appears that this arm is pulled back, and we've told you don't let it come here, and so then people end up a little bit twisted and pulled back. This should be a comfortable place, just like everywhere else in Taiji. When you get there, as you're going through it, you shouldn't go to a place that kind of makes awkward twists and pulls in the body. It should still have some comfort. So it's going to come with you a little bit. But it feels like what you're doing is coming from here. It's not so much that I've got to move away from this arm and leave it here in space, but it feels like there's a big TheraBand or rubber band, and one end is here, the other end is here, and it's the waist that makes them come apart. So it's this kind of a feeling, but you see it moved a little bit, and it changed orientation. It was there, now it's here. So you don't need to hold it in a place where something gets caught up in your shoulder. Let the shoulder down and let the arm be comfortable so that you've got this. It's a feeling. Jane and Batan used to come around to us and grab our two hands and give it a feeling of being circular. Let me do it to Lee so that you get the idea that if I take hold of his arms, see how there's a roundness and a connectedness through his center. And now do something, kind of pull this arm back the way that people tend to. And so you can see that now it doesn't have that same quality. And they would come around and bring us like this so that it feels like there's this nice, round, one might almost say, yin-yang symbol that runs through. Here's a dot, there's a dot, and you got this nice round feeling. So it's not angular at the final position, even though its name is diagonal, which is very angular. So let's do that again, and then let's look at how we get out of it. So I guess I'll do it this way so that when we step out of it, I don't have my back to you. Okay, and begin. You're in the corner, sink and step, shift, stretching the TheraBand with your waist to get square. Okay, so now you're in a good 70-30. If you're not in a good 70-30, take a moment to fix it. You want shoulder width as measured to the corner. And what's going to happen next is, okay, you got yourself into a good shoulder width, 70-30. You're going to sink all your weight into your right leg and let that turn you to the right. And as that happens, the left foot comes free and steps. The left hand comes under the right, palm up, and the right one turns palm down so that you have a ball of air here. And this is the start of the first of the cloud hands. So rest your legs a sec, and just to be clear, so one thing, when we measure shoulder width, your front foot should be pointing squared up with whatever you're aiming for. In this case, it's the corner. So what I'm going to do is bring it back on that same line and then turn this foot to face that corner also. That's how you measure. It can be a little confusing when we do shoulder width to a corner because you might think that you need to be shoulder width relative to this foot. I mean, it kind of worked out, but that's not what we're aiming for. We're aiming for shoulder width lined up to your corner, and then it's like this foot turns out and this foot follows that line straight ahead. So I hope that helps clarify what can sometimes be confusing when you're trying to figure out, well, what's shoulder width? It's where your front foot is pointing, and then you can bring your back foot on the heel in to get them to be parallel, and then you'll know if you have width or not. So from here, I'm going to not just shift into my right leg, because that would just bring me forward. I'm actually spiraling into the right leg so that it turns me to the right, and when that happens, the left hand will come with me, and I let it travel enough so that it will be under the right hand, which goes from being the palm facing the body to palm down. So it's a little bit like doing for cloud hands already, that way that the hand turns over as it comes toward you. So you're going to go into this leg. That's what turns this arm. It's got that running along the length of the arm, not flipping over, but actually this action here is what draws the arm into a palm down place. And at the same time, the left hand is going to follow. My dantian is in the corner. It's going to go past the corner, and that's what brings these two hands into alignment. At the same time, you empty the left foot. It pivots on the ball and comes up on the ball and is ready to step. So if you're moving on to cloud hands, it's going to have this sort of an action. So you can just get yourself back into a good 70-30 for flying diagonal. And a little bit past the corner, drives the hands together, frees the leg, and lets it take a small step forward. I'll just do that much one more time. Spiraling into the right leg. And it's that action right here in the hip joint, the turning of the waist, that makes everything come close to the body, right? Because everything's really expansive here. And it needs to be in a place where you're set up for doing cloud hands, where it's beside you. So that's how it gets there in a natural way, is that it's following the turning of the waist and the folding of the hip joint, the closing of the hip joint, to bring the arms, this arm, I don't just pull it back, but this action brings it into the place where I want to be starting my cloud hands from. So let's do a little bit of that, and we'll call it a day. So let's take it from fist under elbow. I will try not to talk too much because I'll slow us down and fall over. So, begin. Next one. Spiraling into the right leg, turning to the right. And Then, of course, as you turn into cloud hands, you're going to pivot the right foot on the heel to get yourself to the final expansive posture here. And rest your legs. Let's just do that a couple more times. Begin. Transition. And once more. Begin. Okay, and rest your legs. I guess we'll just stop there and see you all again real soon.